If you are not dealing with a critical family health crisis, the central question facing so many Americans is, when will we begin to return to normal life? There are few, if any, easy answers, and the debate has pitted the president against some governors on both coasts. A number of those state leaders are now teaming up. One of them is Governor Ned Lamont of Connecticut. He joins us now from Hartford. Governor Lamont, thank you very much for talking with us. Connecticut has a population of something close to 3.5 million people. It was less than a month ago you announced the first death in the state. Right now, I believe it's 671 deaths, 14,000 people almost tested positive. Where are you in the fight against COVID-19?
So Southern Connecticut, Fairfield County was part of that whole New York pandemic. That part of our state was hit early, hit hard. There, the curve is beginning to bend at this point as social distancing is working. But the rest of the state, the virus is going right up the I-95 Metro North corridor, New Haven up to Hartford.
In other words, rising in the rest of the state.
That's right. We have not bent the curve in the rest of the state yet, but we are still thinking about the day after and the months after.
President Trump has spoken, as you know, about May 1st as being the time to think about beginning to go back to normal. You've said the date should be closer to May 20th. Where do you come up with this date? What factors go into your thinking?
What I said to our schools is we're not going to open before May 20th. I said to our small businesses, you're probably not going to open anything before May 20th. But by May 20th, we're going to have a lot of testing in place. We'll have an idea of where the infections are. By May 20th, we'll have a lot of the PPE and the gowns and the masks that we don't have right now. And we'll be in a much better position to make a determination of what we can open, how we can open, and when we can open.
And how are you confident that you're going to have all those things?
I'm not sure I'm confident. I know we have a much better chance to have it in the next few weeks than I've had it before. Let's face it, a lot of the PPE gets rerouted on the tarmac at JFK. But right now, it looks like supply is catching up with demand. We're beginning to get some supply in. We'll have masks. A mask allowed me to get people back to work sooner. The testing protocol, we're ramping up. I think within a week or two, we'll be able to do a lot more of the antibody testing as well as the molecular test to see who's infected.
We know that you and other governors in the Northeast are coordinating, beginning to talk among yourselves about how you might do this together. The president, meanwhile, has said he has total authority to decide when restrictions are lifted. Who's right?
I think the governors working together, the governors were ahead of the curve on taking this virus seriously. And I think the governors are ahead of the curve, knowing how to get out of the pandemic and thoughtfully open up our states. Look, Judy, I can't open up bars and restaurants in Connecticut if Andrew Cuomo keeps them closed in New York or vice versa. You're just going to have a flow of traffic back and forth. So some of these things we're going to do together.
And how do you make those decisions? Because, I mean, one governor could have one set of factors he or she is looking at, another governor could have a different set.
Yeah, we all have very different situations, that's true. But we want to come up with a set of data. We want to set up protocols that work. I've got an amazing group, a task force that's going to be helping us decide, including the lead epidemiologist from Yale as co-chairman of it, along with the former head of Pepsi, Andrew Nui. And together they put together a business and scientific team that's going to help us come up with a strategy to slowly get our state back to work.
And what about coordinating? I'm going to be talking in a moment with the head of the Chamber of Commerce. What about talking to businesses in your state and big institutions in terms of how they begin to open up? Tell us about how you're coordinating with them, the process of sharing ideas and views of all this with these other leaders.
Sure, we've got major defense manufacturers with big factory floors that are required to be open. And I talk to them every day about the necessity of getting fever testing to make sure nobody goes in there with a temperature. We said anybody with a temperature over 100.4, you cannot go to the factory floor. We're getting masks for everybody. We're setting up the social distancing. So I'm working with the business, and I'm also working with labor. Let's face it, they're fighting for folks who sometimes are food service workers. They're at Stop and Shop, and maybe they don't have the masks they need and the protection they need. So they're all going to be at the table as we think about how we open up again.
And just quickly, Governor, you've also mentioned July 1 as a key date. And where did you come up with that?
I came up with that because at that point, all of the federal programs run out of juice, and that's what really makes me worry. We've got the 2-month, PPP. That's the one for Paycheck Protection. That's 2 months. We've got folks who get their insurance or forgiven for 2 months. At that point, even all of the state aid, the money we need to keep our government going, starts getting a little tighter. So I think the government's going to have to make up its mind, the federal government. If we don't get things opened up and people back to work by July 1st, there'll be another supplemental funding necessary to keep our hospitals going, our small businesses going, and a lot of individuals on unemployment. That's a big date.
And we know that Congress has just announced that they're going to be away for several weeks, coming back, I believe, in May. So we will see about those deadlines. Governor Ned Lamont of Connecticut, we thank you very much, and we wish you the very best with everything you're dealing with.
Thank you, Judy.